Whenever organisational change occurs, there will always be those who resist it.
The worst thing that you could have when you're trying to affect organisational change and as a leader is to have leadership resistance. And that you'll get that in various pockets in the organisation and for various reasons. It could be cynics, it could be through fear, it could be through many things. But a communication program which should be clear and consistent should also be addressing those aspects of the staff relationship that you need to have to make organisational change work for you and for your stakeholders. And your staff are your stakeholders as well.
Restraining forces are those that repress the pressure for change. They can also appear from both internal and external sources. Employee resistance is very common. Concerns surrounding job security and how day-to-day tasks and responsibilities may change can cause fear and uncertainty in many people. Workers are less likely to conform to changes if they feel they have been forced upon them. Some reasons for internal resistance could include fear of an increase or decrease in workload, changes to working conditions, learning new technology, a change in location, therefore changes to travel arrangements to and from work, and job security. Employee resistance is natural with certain types of change. This is why proper and adequate training and support is needed throughout any change process. Externally, resistance could come from customers, suppliers, distributors, or any other business that deals with the organisation daily. Some reasons for external resistance could include fear of a price increase, or that there may be a loss of quality in a product or service, change in location, flexibility in payment options, or a change in the organisation's reputation, both positive and negative. Sometimes the costs associated with the introduction to change are such that the change is just not viable. In our case study, Changes Caused by Smoking Legislation, there have been a number of costs incurred for business owners. For bar and restaurant owners in Australia, for example, the possibility of providing outdoor smoking areas came at a cost.
I guess the financial impact that we had to incur was quite minimal, considering the severity of the change. It was such a big change from being able to smoke everywhere to all of a sudden having only 4 or 5 designated smoking areas. So the financial cost was quite minimal. We obviously had to buy signage saying that this is a designated smoking area. There was minimal costs in informing the guests by putting flyers in their rooms, and I guess the only other cost involved would have been the actual building of these designated areas, and we wanted to make them as pleasant as possible, because from being able to smoke at the bar to all of a sudden being shoved outside in this little hovel, we tried to brighten that up by buying some extra pot plants and making sure it was paved and covered in case it was raining. All of these things had a cost involved, but I think it was quite minimal.
Organisations sometimes conduct cost-benefit analysis to see if making the change is going to be financially beneficial. A cost-benefit analysis is used to evaluate the costs involved in the change against the benefits of the change, and then choosing the most profitable course of action, or the best option for the organisation. It provides management with a clear understanding of the economic costs involved with the change and encourages discussion in order to confirm the change is actually viable. Restraining forces are those that repress the pressure for change and can come from internal or external sources. Some reasons for internal resistance could include the heightened expectation of employees. Employee resistance is common. Externally, resistance could come from customers, suppliers or distributors. A cost-benefit analysis may be required to be sure the change is viable. In the case for many bars and restaurants, complying with the law was mandatory. Change in a large organisation needs to be carefully planned, organised and controlled in order for it to be successful and achieve desired outcomes. All employees must carefully be led through the process with support available at all times. There are both low and high risk tactics that managers could use in assisting the change process.
Working in human resources, you can certainly see the impact that it had on staff. Again, I mentioned that we were permitted to smoke anywhere in the resort, and having to tell the staff that they can no longer do that and they can only go to certain areas of the resort to smoke. We had to manage that for our employees, and certainly the guests who, from their point of view, they've paid money to come here, so why should they be told where they can and can't smoke? And to try and get the point across that it's actually not just our internal policy that we do support, it's also following Queensland legislation.